Hello everybody, Nigel here with you, Nigel's Modelling Bench, and it's a fairly bright and nearly sunny Saturday morning here in Gloucester, and we have a test for you today, a trial, a test, whatever you want to call it, and this is what we're going to use. This is the No Peel Surface Primer for VMS. It's fairly new, and it looks absolutely fantastic. I saw a review by LPJ and thought I need to get some of this, so thought I was going to get all seven. There's 7 different colours in the set, but I only got one because there are some supply issues apparently. So anyway, basically it's a no-peel surface primer. As I mentioned in my little unboxing I did yesterday, basically what they mean by this, in case you're wondering, the Viejo primer, which was a polyurethane primer, which was, trying to get a primer moving away from solvents and everything. They came out with this polyurethane primer, which was, in my opinion, bloody awful. When you tried to sand it, it would peel. And, it was great. If you're spraying something, like I said yesterday, if you're spraying a figure or something that doesn't need any, post-sanding or seam work or anything, then fine. But if you were actually spraying something that you had to work on, which is usually why you put a primer down, is to see where you need to go back, you tried to sand it, it would just all peel off. It didn't key to the plastic at all. So this stuff apparently is the answer. Now, we will look at some competition, okay? I do have some others here. Now, I have here the MRP. Okay, now this one, this has advantages. It's straight from the bottle. It doesn't need any thinning. You don't need to use massive air pressures or massive nozzles on your airbrush or anything. You can just use a normal sort of 0.3 airbrush, and it's going to work, apparently. I haven't tried it yet, we will see. Now this one here, and it's a bit acrylic, so it's not really very smelly at all. This one here is a great primer. Again, this is direct from the bottle, but the downside to this is it's quite thin, so you use quite a lot of it. You need sort of 4 or 5 coats to get probably what we'll get from one coat of this. And also it absolutely bloody stinks. It's a lacquer, so you need breathing gear, you need extractors, booths and all that. So if you don't have any of that, or you're spraying in your bedroom, whatever, don't go with that one. Then we have the Outlaw. Now the Outlaw, again, it's straight from the bottle. It's a fantastic primer. It works really well. It sticks to the plastic really well. But again, it absolutely stinks. Then we've got the One Shot MIG ammo, which is basically Stynel Res. You can see it says on here made in USA, so it's Stynel Res. This is the grey. They also do a few other colours, black, white, red, I think. This is designed to be straight from the bottle. The design of the lid having this pop out thing that pops out and you pour the paint out is just a joke, because as you can see, you get dried up bits of paint in there. It's absolutely pathetic. Whoever thought of that? So the only way really to use it is to unscrew it and pour it out as you would with anything else. Don't use these stupid, whoever thought of this, I just don't get it. But yeah, this is straight from the bottle. It's a great primer. It goes down really well, but it can be a bit of a difficult thing to clean up, because it seems whatever you put in it, it turns to cottage cheese. It thickens up over time, so it doesn't tend to spray very well once you've used it a couple of times. And I've got to be honest, I'm not a big fan. People say you can't thin it with this, you can't thin it with that. If you thin it with this, it works really well. It's just too much fuss. I just go for this one. This is what I like to use. Mr. Finishing Surfacer 1500 Grey. There's black, grey, white, brown, pink. There's all sorts of different colours. And you just thin this with Mr. Colour Leveling Thinners. It goes down beautifully. It keys to the plastic really well. It dries really good. It's awesome stuff. The downside to it is you have to mix it. It's not straight from the bottle. So all of these we just looked at, they're all straight from the bottle, supposedly. This one, obviously, you have to thin. So what I generally do, I've got a jar. You've probably seen me using it in my videos. I've got a jar. I keep sort of half fill it, whatever, with paint, and then fill it up with thinners and go from there. And that's my sort of starting point, really. So that's basically the options that are out there. But apparently this VMS does everything that they do without all the downfalls. So it's straight from the bottle. It doesn't clog your airbrush. You can wash it up with water. It doesn't stink. It's not too expensive. And also it says plastic, resin, 3D and metal, which is really worth remembering. Metal is something that's always a nightmare to prime, as you know, or paint. You know it's a nightmare. So we get all sorts of etch primers and everything and stuff. This apparently just goes on metal absolutely fine. We shall see. So this is where I got it from, Brooks Models, as you know. In the description below the video, you will find some codes you can use to get money off when you make your purchases at Brooks Models. As far as airbrushes go, now it says on here, clean the model using water and detergent to get rid of fingerprints and dust. I've actually used Model Degreaser. This was sent to me by Annie. Thank you, Annie. So I've used this as Modeller's World, which is not currently available in the UK as far as I know. But basically what I'm going to be spraying I've cleaned with this. Apply the primer with an airbrush using 0.2 or 0.3 nozzle. Now that is very unusual because normally they're sort of 0.5 plus. No thinning is required. Product viscosity is 40 CST. Can be applied after 2 hours of natural dry. Paint can be applied after 2 hours of natural drying or after 30 minutes following speed drying. So what we're going to do, we're going to put this down. It says here shake while before use. It contains a ceramic mixing bowl. You can hear the ball in there. Now I've given this a really good shake before I turn the camera on, but I can see there's still some primer in the bottom there. So I think what I need to do is turn the camera off and give this some more good shaking, because if you don't shake it properly, it's not a fair trial, especially when it comes to metal and stuff. And what we're going to do, we're going to put it down, we're going to see how it sprays, we'll see how it dries, we'll see how it lays, and then we'll see how resistant it is to scratching and stuff, and if it can be sanded. So what I'm going to do is spray everything I've got here, leave it for a couple of hours, and then we'll come back. Don't worry, you won't have to wait for a couple of hours, you'll wait like that long. So as I said, I'm going to turn the camera off, and just, you can see I've got some sediment there in the bottom, and I want to get rid of that. So I'll back in a second. Okay, so as far as airbrushes go, I'm going to start with this one. And this is the GHAC 98 from Gallery, whatever you want to call them. And this has a 0.38 nozzle and needle setup. It also comes in the box. It has a 0.5 as well, you can see on there. So if you go and watch my videos, I've done all tests on these and tried them out. And you'll see some links as well. Once again, with these, you could go and save some money should you want to. If you use the links that I give you in the Gallery review videos. But this is a lovely airbrush. It has a removable paint cup, which I think is a bit of a pain. I'd rather it was all cast in one. It's a very, very simple, normal sort of trigger action, dual action airbrush. So that one's one. And then we're going to try this one. This is the Mobius 0.2. Okay. And I just want to see if this will actually spray through a 0.2 nozzle, as they say it will. They say use 20 to 40 psi. I have the compressor set at 20, okay, and I've got this Mac valve here open all the way. So there we go. We're going to try that one as well. So we'll try this one first, as I say. I'm not going to be putting the cap on, so you might see me chuck the paint all over the bench again, as I did before when I was doing my Porsche. So as I say, we're going to do plastic, we're going to do resin, and we're going to do metal. So for plastic, I've got a B52 wing. Okay, this is from the, I've forgotten their names, the name of the company. I can't remember the name of the company. Blimey, I can't believe that. But that's basically what it is. It's a B52 G wing, or it could be a H wing, whatever. But it's very heavily scribed, and it's a nice big piece of grey plastic for us to try our primer on. As I say, it's all been cleaned, so degreased and everything. I've also done the Tamiya anti-static brush on there as well. Then we've got, this is one of my B52 resin tailplanes. I thought it was a good flat surface to try it on. So there we go. Again, this has been degreased. It's not been finished or anything yet, but it's just a flat surface to put some paint on. And then I've got this here. Model Collect was the name of that company. And then I've got this here. And this is basically a piece of photo etch that I haven't used from a model. I've obviously had an alternative for this or whatever. But basically it's a piece of fairly flat photo etch rather than something with lots of tiny little bits, and I thought this would be better. What I've done here, you can see I've cut one corner off. So that corner denotes that the upper half has been treated with VMS Metal Prep 4K, and that's brushed on, and they say to leave it for 15 to 30 minutes. So that's been 30 odd minutes, probably 40 minutes now. that was put on, so that was brushed on. I've done it on both sides. I've gone across, and as I say, this corner is to denote that that's the side that's got the metal prep on it. So this down the bottom is not, it's got nothing on it at all, it's just degreased. But then on this side, again, this corner denotes, you can probably see the difference in the colour. This side has been sanded with an 800 sponge. Okay, I've done the same on this side and this side here. So this is just basically natural brass. This is natural brass sanded. Natural brass sanded and coated with metal prep, and then natural brass coated with metal prep. So we'll get the 4 different options there, so we'll see how that works. That's what I'm really interested in to see, is how it performs on metal, because the plastic and the resin is, you know, it is what it is. But when it comes to metal, it can be very tricky. And what I saw on LPJ's video was a massive surprise, a very big surprise. So I'm going to connect up the airbrush. All right, so that's the wrong one. That's the 0.2, Nige. We need the 0.38. As I say, we're on 20 psi. I know it sounds a lot, but these things do pass a lot of air. So so basically this is all shaken up. So we're going to take the lid off, and then literally we're going to pour some of the paint into the airbrush, just like so. Put the airbrush to the side, grab a piece of tissue. I've started using toilet paper a lot for tissues rather than kitchen paper, because it's more economical and it's kinder to the environment, I believe. There we go. So that's that done. So we'll just do a quick test. What am I going to do a test on? Let's do a test on the Brooks Models card. You can see it's spraying lovely. Spraying absolutely fine. So that's good. So what we'll do, we'll try it on the plastic first. So, and I can't smell a thing, so that's good. So what I'm going to do, I'll just go in, do a crisscross pattern, and we'll see how it covers with one quick coat. So I'm not going to come right out to the edge. So we'll just okay, so you can see there, it's drying extremely quickly as well. All right, and then we'll do a simple vertical now. And that is the best way to get sort of coverage on a big item. So yeah, it's looking like it's a little bit dry on the surface. So I think what I'll do here, I'll go in circles and I'll put it down wet, and we'll see how that dries. It looks like I'm getting some tip dry here. Or maybe there's a little something in the airbrush that clogged it up, but it felt like it was tip dry. Yeah, that's tip dry. So there you can hear it blasting through, really wet, flooding it on. How you should never do it, but we'll see what happens when it dries. Does it pull down? You can see you can see in the light here, I've got it so heavy, it's built up a ridge around those panel lines. Okay, so that's what I want to see. Does it pull down? We can see on this one, it's got quite a dusty finish to it, which is a bit of a concern because it's not actually that warm. But as a primer, that's great because it gives you a wonderful key for everything else going down. Okay, so I'm just going to put some more paint in the airbrush so that we don't run out. As I say, I do seem to be getting some tip dry. So let's see how it goes on resin. So this is basically not how it goes down, but this is how it stays on. So what we'll do after we've done this, we'll oh, please stay in the clamp. So after we've done this, we'll see how resilient it is to scratches and stuff. So yeah, we've got tip dry. Oh, I can't be bothered with that stupid bloody clamp. Right. Yeah, we've got terrible tip dry. That's a bit of a disappointment actually, because that takes it into... I'll tell you what I know, I'm going to turn the pressure up to about 25 psi. Okay, let's see if that helps. It certainly does seem to spray better at 25 when they say 20 to 40, so you know we are at the lower end, but it's almost the right colour for a B52, isn't it? Yeah, very nice. If you're wondering what this is one of my B52 tailplanes, which is basically a takeoff of the Revell kit because the model collectibles are too small, and then I've rescribed it and moulded it. So I know they're no longer available, I'm afraid. I don't have the moulds anymore. So that's gone down on there beautifully. It hasn't filled in any of the panel lines or anything. Everything's still looking good. So very happy with that. Just not very happy with the tip dry aspect, but there's ways around that, such as turning the pressure up. So I'm just going to see if we've got tip dry again. No. Okay, so it may be a blockage in the airbrush, of course. So we'll do this brass, we'll do both sides, and then we can do a resilience test on this afterwards. So what I'll do, I'll go... I'll just spray this as I normally would. The clogged up bits are probably the metal prep, so don't worry about that. The metal prep states on the bottle that you should brush it on. I've airbrushed it on before and it's been fine. But I wanted to stick to the instructions for this, just to take out any ambiguity. Right, so there's, we'll give it another coat. I'm putting right back on the trigger now. You can see it's drying in. There's hardly anything coming out. That's a big disappointment, a very big disappointment. It is quite warm, to be fair, but that is a big disappointment. Let's give it a go with the 0.2. I can't see that the 0.2 is going to spray it at all, to be honest, but we shall see. So I'll put this airbrush, where can I put this airbrush? I can put this in my Galeri stand there, right. So there's the Galeri stand. You can see they're great little things to stand your airbrush in. So we've got the 0.2 in there, so we'll see how it goes. What on earth happened there? It just all blew back. What on earth is going on? It's that Mac valve, isn't it? Well, that was a surprise, wasn't it? It seems that every single time I pick up a Galeri airbrush and try it for the first time, like the first time when it's new or the first time since I put it away, something goes wrong, and it's always something stupid. And in this case, I do not know why for the life of me, but that was loose. So what happens is the air is coming back up. I'll show you with a drop of water, just so you know I'm not lying to you and trying to make Galeri look better than they really are. Okay, I'll put a drop of water in there. You can see as soon as I start to spray, it comes up. Whereas if I tighten that nozzle up, it does nothing of the sort. Look. So absolutely unbelievable. I've had the tube in the bottom of a siphon cup stuck to the bottom of the bottle so it wouldn't suck any paint. I've had the nut being loose, so as I pulled back, no paint came out because the needle wasn't moving. Absolutely unbelievable. And I swear it's only because the camera's on. So we just blow that water through there. Make sure there's none left in there. You can see there's nothing coming out. Okay, so we'll grab a drop of the paint. Oh, dear, dear, dear. I made a right mess of my bench. Just put a couple of drops in there. We don't need much because I don't think it's going to work. But, well, it does. That's a 0.2. You can see it says on the side, guys, 0.2. Okay. And that is spraying beautifully. In fact, it feels better than the bigger nozzle. I don't know if that makes sense. And it's not tip drying either. Let's go really light, see if we get tip dry. Ah, there we go. Yeah, we've got some tip dry now. It's easily cleared. It seems to be. I would actually say this sprays better than the bigger nozzle. Again, we'll flood it on here. Run out of paint now, but there we go. So what we're going to do, I'm going to get my airbrushes cleaned up. Okay, you can actually do initial cleaning with water because it's water based. We're going to wipe off the top of the bottle, make sure it doesn't get all congealed, and then we can get cleaned up, and I'll come back in an hour or two and we'll see how all this looks. But you can see that there is wet and flooded on. This here where it all pulled up is still pulled up, but we'll give it time to dry, and then we'll do some resistance testing and see how it all looks. And there we go. So I'm sorry about the mess with the paint, but yeah, me again. Right, see you in a sec. Right, there we go. So cleanup was fairly easy actually with this one. I just literally put some water in there, flushed it through, and then a bit of solvent, airbrush cleaner just to wash it through finally. And it seems to have done a lovely job. So that's all good. Now this one here was a different story because obviously this nozzle here was loose. So what happens then is the paint has got in behind here, it's got in behind there, it's gone down into all the air passages, it's got everywhere. So this took a proper long job to glue. But see how these Galeri airbrushes are designed? They've got this fluted system around the nozzle. You don't need any spanners or anything to fit the nozzle. The nozzle just literally slides into there like that. Okay, and then basically you align that with your needle. Just tighten that. I'm going to slacken this off here so they don't put any undue pressure on there. I'm going to pull this back, tighten that nut. And that means then that we know our needle is up against the back of the nozzle, and then just loosen that nut and retighten it, and we're good to go. There we go. So yeah, this one took quite a lot longer to clean, but yeah, very good. I mean, just water and then a bit of solvent just to make sure. I mean, if you're keeping an airbrush just for primers, you probably get away with just water. What I haven't done this one is taken the cup off and had a look. Sometimes the paint can bleed under and get into the threads. Yeah, you can see that in there. I haven't taken this off and cleaned in there properly, so I'll have to do that now. Right, so the other problem was I left this one standing while I was doing that one. I should have cleaned this one first, but no problem. It's just airbrush cleaning. It's a job that we all hate. It's something that has to be done. So I'll get some more cleaner through there. Job done. And we are back. Now, I said I was going to leave it an hour. I've been out, washed the car, played with Dottie and everything. So it's actually been 4.5 hours this has been on here. I sprayed it at 12:30, it's now 5 o'clock. So there we go, so we'll see. Now you can hear it's got quite a grady finish, which is no bad thing unless you're putting it under a gloss coat. If you put it under a gloss coat, you're going to polish it back anyway. So the purpose of this stuff was, the golden words were no peel. So let's see. We'll start at this end where it's thinnest, I think. I've got a 600 grit Matador stick here. I call these Matador because they're made with a Matador abrasive material apparently. So it's an Infinity stick, it's 600 grit, it's a little bit worn. So the two things I'm looking for here: does it peel? Well, three things. Does it peel? Does it sand nicely? Does it clog the stick? Because at the end of the day, one of the biggest downfalls with the Mr. Surfacer is when you start to sand it, it clogs really badly. So let's just see. So we're sanding it and it's certainly not peeling. Now the stick is obviously picking up residue because that's what it's supposed to do. So I've got an old pair of jeans here, but we can clean it really easily. It doesn't clog the stick up. It'd be a lot easier if I had a white or something. And now that is beautifully smooth, and that is ready. That is obviously beautifully ready for a top coat. So there we go. So yeah, this would be suitable for working on with gloss, you know, underneath for your car bodies and stuff. But it's certainly not peeling. It's not lifting at all. You can see everywhere I've sanded it, it's feathering. So that's pretty cool. Over here where I flooded it on, it's very heavy. Let's see how. And again, that's not peeling, lifting, doing anything. It's just flatting out. Remember, I had it all built up around these panel lines, but it's flatted it out. Now it's quite dusty. Obviously I had a piece of dust or something there. You can see that white spot in the middle. If I take a clean piece of toilet tissue, or to the rest of us, bog roll, you can see it's quite dusty. Now then, does it sand wet? Now the beauty of these sticks, you can actually use them wet. So if we try and sand it wet, what happens? Is it resistant? Does it all come off? It's not peeling, it's not lifting. Remember, this was just bare plastic, it wasn't keyed, it was just literally degreased. And that has worked beautifully. Now obviously, because it's wet, it's going to clog the stick up. I should wash that out under a tap. But with my damp piece of bog roll, I can wipe that over. You can see it's got a very, very fine, very smooth finish. I can't show you how smooth it is. I don't have a surface comparator here, but it's nice. So yeah, very good. So you can hear the difference. But with just a quick, in fact that wasn't a very fair test because that's all clogged up with wet paint. But with a very quick wipe over, you can hear. So yeah, very impressive. Now then, something that's not so important for us modelers, but it should always be considered, is durability. What's it like with the scratch test? So if I just take the cocktail stick, I'm applying ever increasing pressure, and you can see I'm able to scratch it off. Okay, but that's quite a lot of pressure I'm putting on there. That's probably about as much pressure as you would use on a screwdriver if you were driving a screw in. So not in a blind hole or something, but if you were driving a screw into a plastic part, that's about as much pressure as you would use. So yeah, it's not extremely durable, but it is durable. Okay, it's not as durable as Mr. Surfacer. I don't have anything here with Mr. Surfacer painted on it I can show you, but on bare plastic it's probably very, very close. Right, so the resin, obviously the sanding is going to be the same. because it's the paint. But the problem here is, there we go, haha, it's not sticking to the resin. Now, as I say, I only degreased this. It didn't have any water wash or anything, and this side is performing much better. It's still lifting. So yeah, probably another test is needed after the resin has been properly washed and everything. This is not 3D printed, this is cast, so it hasn't taken too well to the resin, so it's going to have to be washed off of there. Brass, now something I found hard to believe but impossible to fake, so I'm not in any way accusing LPG of faking anything. When he did his test on the brass, it scratched off with the metal primer easier than it did without. Now remember, this side, this is metal primed and keyed, this is just keyed, this is bare brass, and this is bare brass with metal primer. So let's do the resistance test. So the easiest one to scratch off should be this one. And it's, yes, I can scratch it off, but blimey, that's better than most primers, I can tell you. That's better than Mr. Surfacer at sticking to metal. Now with the metal primer on it, it's even more resistant. I haven't gone through. You can see how, I'll show you how hard I'm pushing on that. Look, I'm bending the brass over. This is quite a thick piece of brass and it's not going through. So that's incredible. So this here should be just as tough. Because it's coming off on the edge of the holes, which it will do. Wow. This is definitely the primer for photo etch, guys. Look at that, it's really tough. I mean, that's no metal primer or anything. And I can scratch it off, but wow, that is impressive. So here, where it's been etched and it's got a metal primer, okay, let's get the ridiculous test. It's even resistant to light scraping with a knife. Look, you can see I'm scraping it because of the residue coming off. That's incredible. That's absolutely incredible. So we have definitely found a metal primer, guys. If nothing else, we found a really good metal primer, and it's really good on plastic. It just seems that maybe it could be that I didn't clean it enough or whatever, I don't know, but it doesn't seem to have stuck very well to that resin. So it's certainly it's not peeling as such, but you wouldn't, if I had a joint in here I wanted to sand out, I wouldn't be able to feather it back. I'd have to use Mr. Surfacer. So hey, we're not going to complain about that. But the performance on the metal is just incredible. Again here, you can see I can sand it and I can feather it on the photo etch. So it's not peeling, it's feathering. You can see there, it's feathered out beautifully. Even where there's no, well here, this is bare brass, there's nothing on this. Yep, I can still sand it on there. So we've got bare brass etched, not etched, keyed. So yeah, that's not as tough. This is keyed, so that should be tougher. And yes, it is. What I'm doing, I've got my finger behind it, so I'm putting pressure. So this is keyed and metal primed. And this is just metal primed. So yeah, certainly when LPJ did it, he found that the metal primed was worse than the non-metal primed, which seems hard to believe, but it was probably a case of grease or something. He did say that in his video, I think. But yeah, we have definitely found a primer for our photo etch, guys. This stuff is amazing. That was degreased. That was simply degreased and then etched. Sorry, not etched, keyed, and then this had etch primer put on it on the top. So yeah, brilliant. So there we go. Somebody did actually ask me in a comment today, don't use plastic spoons. I hope you're happy no plastic spoons were harmed in the making of this video. So yeah, very, very good. And also, we've also learned, haven't we, that when you start to use your airbrush, you must make sure that the nozzle's tight. Otherwise, you make a right mess. Yes, what a dullard I am. Anyway, it does, as I say, every single time I pick up a Galeri airbrush to do something, I find something wrong. I've just noticed as well, I splashed paint all over my god hand nips. So I'll have to get that off. In fact, that's something else we could look at here, isn't it? Let me grab this little cutting mat a minute because I don't want to make a mess. Will this remove with IPA? Can we use this like Mr. Surfacer and fill in gaps with a brush? Yes, it does remove with IPA, look. So there you go, so that's good. Good to know. Okay. Oh, another thing I wanted to show you, I did do a very quick test last night, just to see, after I made my unboxing video sort of thing. I got this tacky old piece of brass, no degreaser, no cleaner, no nothing, and put it on there with a brush, and it brushed lovely, but you can see it's got absolutely no resistance whatsoever, and that's probably because it's greasy. And this here, this piece of plastic is the same. But again, that wasn't degreased or anything. So make sure you clean your models before you use this stuff. You can't expect a water-based paint to stick to anything if it's got any grease on it. That's just the same for whatever paint you're using. Solvent-based paints will often eat through, but you can't expect that with acrylics. Okay, or water-based acrylics, should I say. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all soon, and go get yourself some as soon as they got it in stock. But don't forget, you go to Brooks Models, brooksmodels.com, use the codes in the description below, and you can get yourself 10 or 20% off. You can see there, you can even spray card with it. See you soon, guys. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.